Behind every legendary movie car lies an arsenal of bizarre production secrets, unexpected engineering choices, and jaw-dropping stunt decisions that never made the credits. From disabled all-wheel drive systems to cameras mounted on gutted Porsches, the story of Ronin's iconic Audi S8 is packed with production madness that few fans know about. Here are 15 weird facts you didn't know about Ronin's 1998 Audi S8. Fact 1. The Quattro system was deliberately disabled. When the production team first attempted to film the spectacular drifting sequences with the Audi S8, they ran into an unexpected problem that threatened to undermine the entire visual approach of the chase scenes. The car's legendary Quattro all-wheel drive system, which was one of Audi's signature technologies and a major selling point for the S8, simply worked too well for what director John Frankenheimer wanted to achieve on screen. Every time the stunt drivers tried to throw the car sideways through the narrow streets of Paris and Nice, the Quattro system would grip the pavement and keep the vehicle stable and planted, refusing to break loose into the lurid power slides that Frankenheimer envisioned. The production team realized they had a serious dilemma because those dramatic sideways slides were essential to creating the visual excitement and sense of danger that would make the chase sequences memorable. After consulting with the stunt coordinators and automotive specialists, they made the controversial decision to disable the front-wheel drive components of the Quattro system, effectively converting the all-wheel drive S8 into a rear-wheel drive car. This modification allowed the stunt drivers to initiate and hold those spectacular drifts that audiences see throughout the film, with the back end of the car sliding out dramatically as it corners through cobblestone streets. The irony wasn't lost on anyone involved in the production, as they were essentially removing one of the most advanced features of this high-performance German sedan just to make it behave more like a traditional rear-wheel drive sports car. Without this modification, the S8 would have simply gripped its way through the chase scenes with far less visual drama, and one of cinema's most iconic car chase sequences might have looked completely different. Fact 2. Nitrous before Fast and Furious. 3 years before Vin Diesel and Paul Walker made nitrous oxide systems a household name in the Fast and the Furious, Ronin quietly introduced mainstream audiences to the concept of NOS modification in a much more understated way. When Larry, the team's expert driver played by Skip Sudduth, lays out his requirements for the job, he specifically requests not just any fast car, but an Audi S8 with a nitrous system installed. His exact words in the film are memorable for their casual matter-of-factness. He needs something very fast, an Audi S8, something that can shove a little bit, and he's also going to need a nitrous system. This scene, which takes place early in the film during the crew's planning stages, treats nitrous oxide as a professional tool rather than the flashy, blue-glowing spectacle that later films would turn it into. Larry's request is purely practical, recognizing that even the S8's impressive 4.2-liter V8 engine producing 335 horsepower in standard form might not be enough for the dangerous work ahead. The film presents the modification as something an experienced driver would naturally consider when preparing for high-stakes pursuits, not as an exotic or illegal upgrade. What makes this particularly interesting is that Ronin came out in 1998 at a time when nitrous systems were primarily known only to serious racing enthusiasts and tuner car culture, not to general moviegoers. The Fast and the Furious wouldn't arrive until 2001, bringing nitrous into pop culture with its dramatic visual effects and making it synonymous with street racing. Ronin's approach was far more subdued and realistic, treating it simply as additional power when needed, rather than a flashy button to press for dramatic effect. Fact 3. The S8 actually struggled to keep up. One of the most surprising revelations about Ronin's production came from director John Frankenheimer himself, who admitted in interviews that the Audi S8 cars they purchased for filming weren't actually built for the kind of extreme stunt driving the movie required. Despite the S8's impressive specifications on paper, including 360 horsepower in European specification and the addition of a nitrous oxide system that should have pushed output well over 500 horsepower, the cars struggled to perform as dominantly as the script seemed to suggest. This created some awkward moments during filming, particularly during the nice chase sequence where the nitrous-boosted S8 is supposed to easily run down a Citroën XM that only had a 3-liter V6 producing around 170 horsepower in its top specification. In reality, the XM managed to stay ahead of the supposedly superior Audi for much longer than expected, forcing the stunt coordinators to rely more on driving skill and camera angles than raw performance differences. Frankenheimer noted that the S8s simply weren't set up for the repeated hard impacts, constant sliding, and aggressive driving that stunt work demanded, and they began showing signs of strain relatively quickly. Even with Formula One driver Jean-Pierre Jarier behind the wheel in some scenes, the S8 only barely kept pace with the cars it was chasing, which was somewhat embarrassing given its performance credentials. Some automotive enthusiasts have speculated that perhaps the filmmakers chose style over pure performance capability, or that the modifications made to allow drifting may have compromised the car's overall speed and handling. Whatever the reason, it's a fascinating, behind-the-scenes detail that the movie's hero car wasn't quite the unstoppable machine it appeared to be on screen. Fact 4. Revolutionary aluminum space frame technology. The Audi S8 featured in Ronin wasn't just chosen for its performance credentials or sleek appearance. It also represented one of the most significant automotive engineering achievements of the 1990s. The car's body was constructed using Audi's pioneering aluminum space frame technology known as ASF, which had been in development since 1982 and represented over a decade of research and 40 separate patent applications. This revolutionary construction method used a high-strength aluminum framework with sheet aluminum pieces integrated into it, with each component assigned a specific structural task. The extruded aluminum sections bridged spaces and formed the skeleton. Cast aluminum nodes connected components and absorbed forces, and aluminum panels closed off spaces while adding rigidity to the overall structure. The result was a body that weighed approximately 40% less than an equivalent steel construction, with the aluminum unitary body of the first-generation A8 tipping the scales at just 249 kilograms, or about 549 pounds. This dramatic weight savings was particularly important for the S8, which came standard with Audi's Quattro all-wheel drive system that typically added significant weight compared to rear-wheel drive competitors. The lightweight construction meant the car could accelerate more quickly, brake more effectively, and change direction more nimbly than heavier rivals like the Mercedes-Benz S-Class and BMW 7 Series. For Ronin's demanding chase sequences, this weight advantage translated directly into better performance during the constant acceleration, braking, and cornering that the stunt drivers had to execute. The aluminum construction also had the added benefit of being more resistant to corrosion, which meant the cars could withstand some of the abuse during filming without immediately showing visible damage. Fact 5. 80 cars destroyed during production. The scale of vehicular destruction during Ronin's production was truly staggering, with a total of 80 automobiles intentionally wrecked, damaged, or destroyed during the filming of the movie's various chase sequences. This puts Ronin firmly in the upper echelon of car-destroying films, ranking it alongside notorious vehicle-killing classics like The Blues Brothers, which destroyed 104 cars, and the original Gone in 60 Seconds from 1974, which obliterated 127 vehicles. What makes Ronin's destruction count particularly impressive is that it was achieved with a relatively modest budget of $55 million and without relying on cheap disposable vehicles or obvious stunt doubles. The production used multiple examples of the actual hero cars for the destruction. Sequences including several Audi S8s, multiple BMW 535i sedans, numerous Peugeot 406s and 608.5s, and several Citroën XMs. Each of these was a relatively expensive, well-engineered European sedan, rather than cheap, expendable cars that could be easily destroyed without much financial loss. The destruction ranged from minor cosmetic damage and mechanical failures to spectacular crashes that left vehicles completely totaled and unrepairable. Some cars were intentionally crashed into barriers, others were rolled or flipped, and still others were damaged during the intense contact between vehicles during the chase sequences. Director John Frankenheimer's insistence on practical stunts and real-time driving at full speed meant that many of these crashes were genuinely violent and destructive, rather than carefully controlled low-speed impacts that could be easily repaired. The production kept a steady supply of backup vehicles on hand, knowing that each day of filming could potentially destroy multiple cars. This commitment to practical effects and real destruction is part of what gives Ronin's chase sequences their visceral, dangerous feeling that computer-generated effects have never quite managed to replicate. Fact 6. Porsche 911s were camera cars. To capture the intense, up-close tracking shots that make Ronin's chase sequences so visceral and immediate, director John Frankenheimer employed a clever solution that involved sacrificing several Porsche 911s in the service of cinematography. The production team acquired multiple Porsche 911 camera cars specifically for the purpose of following the action vehicles through the narrow streets of Paris and Nice at high speeds while capturing stable, professional quality footage. The modification process was dramatic and somewhat shocking to any Porsche enthusiast. The front hoods of these 911s were completely removed and replaced with specialized camera mounting equipment that could hold the heavy film cameras steady while the cars traveled at speeds matching the chase vehicles. These camera mounts were actually the same custom-built rigs that Frankenheimer had originally developed and used for his 1966 racing epic Grand Prix, where he pioneered techniques for capturing authentic high-speed racing footage. The Porsche 911s were ideal for this role because they had the performance to keep pace with the modified chase cars, the handling to navigate tight corners at speed, and enough space in the front trunk area to accommodate the camera mounting systems once the hood was removed. The camera operators and cinematographers would ride in or on these modified Porsches, sometimes in precarious positions, to get those dramatic shots from directly in front of or alongside the speeding Audis, BMWs, and Peugeots. The front-mounted camera position also allowed Frankenheimer to capture the facial expressions of the actors and stunt drivers through the windshields, adding to the authenticity and intensity of the sequences. These Porsche camera cars were essential tools in creating the documentary-like realism that sets Ronin's chase sequences apart from more stylized or obviously artificial car chases in other films. Fact 7. Real speeds up to 120 mph. What truly sets Ronin apart from nearly every car chase film made before or since is the uncompromising commitment to filming at genuine high speeds with real vehicles on actual streets. Unlike the vast majority of car chase sequences in cinema history, where speeds are exaggerated through camera tricks, frame rate manipulation, or CGI enhancement, Ronin's chases were filmed at actual velocities that reached up to 120 miles per hour through the streets of Paris and southern France. Director John Frankenheimer had an absolute hatred of process shots and refused to use any of the shortcuts that typically make movie car chases safer and easier to film. He insisted that the speeds you see on screen are the actual speeds at which the cars were traveling, with no footage sped up in post-production and no computer-generated enhancement of any kind. The actors, including Robert De Niro and Natasha McElhone, were actually inside these cars as they hurtled through city streets at triple-digit speeds, though they were typically in passenger seats with stunt drivers operating the real controls. Frankenheimer believed that artificially speeding up footage would affect the lighting and the overall visual quality of his carefully planned shots, as the film was shot in Super 35 format, with specific attention to muted colors and realistic lighting. The commitment to real speed extended to the oncoming traffic sequences in the Paris tunnel chase, where 100 crack race drivers, including former Formula One star Jean-Pierre Jarier, maintained their lanes at 35 miles per hour, while the BMW and Peugeot weaved through them at more than twice that speed. This approach was incredibly dangerous and required unprecedented coordination and trust among all the drivers involved, but it created a visceral sense of speed and danger that audiences could instinctively recognize as genuine. Fact 8. The only car mentioned by name. In a film that features numerous high-performance European sedans and sports cars, including a BMW M5, a Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL 6.9, multiple Peugeots, and a Citroën XM, only one vehicle is specifically called out by make and model in the dialogue: the Audi S8. This distinction comes during a crucial planning scene early in the film, when the mercenary crew is discussing their equipment needs for the dangerous job ahead. Larry, the team's expert driver played by Skip Sudduth, is asked by Deirdre what kind of car he needs for the operation, and his response has become one of the most memorable car-related lines in cinema. He states clearly and confidently that he needs something very fast, then specifically requests an Audi S8, adding that it should be something that can shove a little bit. This level of specificity in the script was unusual for a heist thriller, where cars are typically just generic vehicles or described in vague terms like sports car or sedan. The fact that the screenwriters, including David Mamet, who rewrote much of the script, chose to name-check the S8 specifically suggests it was a deliberate choice to highlight this particular vehicle. Some have speculated that Audi may have provided support for the production, though there's no confirmed product placement deal on record. Others believe director John Frankenheimer, who was a serious automotive enthusiast and collector, specifically chose the S8 because he appreciated its blend of understated styling and serious performance credentials. Whatever the reason, this verbal spotlight helped cement the S8's status as the film's automotive star and contributed significantly to raising the profile of Audi's performance sedan in markets outside Europe. The line became so iconic that it's still quoted by car enthusiasts and Audi fans decades after the film's release. Fact 9. Right-hand drive trickery. For actors to create the illusion that actors like Robert De Niro and Natasha McElhone were actually performing the death-defying stunt driving themselves, the production employed a clever but elaborate deception involving specially modified right-hand drive vehicles. The technique worked by using cars where the actual steering wheel and controls were on the right side, the normal configuration for British and Japanese market vehicles, while installing a completely fake steering wheel and dashboard on the left side where actors would sit. The actors would then perform their scenes holding this dummy steering wheel and mimicking the movements of the real stunt driver who sat beside them, actually controlling the vehicle from the right-hand position. This setup allowed the camera to film through the windshield and see the actor appearing to drive from the traditional left-hand driver's position, while professional racing drivers like Jean-Pierre Jarier and Michel Newgarden actually piloted the cars at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour. For the climactic Paris tunnel chase, the production specifically sourced right-hand drive BMWs and Peugeots from the United Kingdom for this exact purpose. The actors had to carefully watch and mimic every turn of the wheel, every gear change, and every subtle movement the real driver made to maintain the illusion. What makes this particularly effective in Ronin is that the genuine terror you see on the actors' faces wasn't acting at all. They truly were passengers in cars being driven at insane speeds through real traffic, with no control over their safety. Robert De Niro's white-knuckled grip on the fake steering whel and his wide-eyed expression as the car weaves through oncoming traffic at high speed were completely authentic reactions to the genuinely dangerous situation he found himself in, making the performance all the more convincing to audiences. Fact 10. Formula One driver behind the wheel. The breathtaking precision and skill displayed during Ronin's chase sequences wasn't achieved by Hollywood stunt drivers alone, but by recruiting one of the most accomplished racing drivers in the world. Jean-Pierre Jarier, a former Formula One driver with an impressive career in the highest level of motorsport, served as one of the primary stunt drivers and brought legitimate world-class racing expertise to the production. Jarier had competed in Formula One during the 1970s and early 80s, driving for teams including Shadow, Lotus, and Ligier, and had achieved multiple podium finishes during his career at the pinnacle of racing. By the time Ronin went into production in 1998, Jarier had transitioned into stunt driving for films, where his extraordinary car control skills and experience driving at the absolute limit of adhesion made him invaluable. His involvement meant that the hairpin turns, precise positioning, and near-miss maneuvers in the film weren't just lucky accidents or carefully edited sequences, but the result of a driver who had spent decades racing at speeds exceeding 200 miles per hour on the world's most challenging circuits. Jarier was joined by other professional racing drivers, including Le Mans veterans Jean-Claude Lagnez and Michel Neugarten, who brought similar high-level expertise to the production. These weren't typical movie stunt drivers who had learned to throw cars around for the camera. These were legitimate racing professionals who understood vehicle dynamics at an instinctive level and could thread a car through impossibly tight gaps at 100 miles per hour with confidence. Director John Frankenheimer specifically sought out racing drivers rather than traditional stunt drivers because he wanted the chase sequences to have the precision and smoothness of actual professional racing rather than the chaotic, barely controlled feeling of typical movie stunts. Fact 11. Movie sparked immediate S8 sales. The impact of Ronin on Audi S8 sales was immediate and dramatic, demonstrating the powerful effect that prominent movie placement can have on consumer behavior, even for expensive luxury performance sedans. One particularly well-documented case comes from an editor at Car Buzz, who reported that his aunt went out and purchased an Audi S8 the very day after watching Ronin in theaters, apparently so impressed by the car's performance and presence in the film that she made an immediate buying decision on a vehicle that cost well over $60,000 at the time. While Audi never released official sales figures specifically attributing purchases to the movie, automotive journalists and Audi dealers reported noticeable increases in S8 interest and test drive requests following the film's release in September of 1998. The timing was particularly fortuitous for Audi, as the S8 had been on the market since 1996, but was still relatively unknown outside of European markets and serious automotive enthusiast circles. The film effectively served as an extended advertisement, demonstrating the S8's capabilities in ways that no traditional marketing campaign could match. Potential buyers could see the car being driven hard through challenging conditions, maintaining composure at high speeds, and looking effortlessly cool in the process, all while being associated with professional operators and serious people doing serious work. This was exactly the image Audi wanted for the S8, as it worked to establish itself as a legitimate competitor to the BMW 7 Series and Mercedes-Benz S-Class in the high-performance luxury sedan market. The movie helped shift Audi's image from a brand that made sensible, reliable cars for practical people to a brand that could produce genuine performance machines worthy of consideration by driving enthusiasts. Fact 12. Director's personal Mercedes appeared. Director John Frankenheimer's deep personal passion for automobiles extended far beyond his professional work filming car chases, and this enthusiasm directly influenced which vehicles appeared in Ronin. Frankenheimer personally owned a Mercedes-Benz 450 SEL 6.9, the rare and powerful W116 variant that featured a massive 6.9-liter V8 engine and represented the pinnacle of Mercedes-Benz engineering in the 1970s. When the production was planning which vehicles would be used in the chase sequences, the original script apparently didn't specify exactly which cars Sam and Vincent would use to chase the convoy carrying the mysterious briefcase. Frankenheimer himself suggested that a 450 SEL 6.9 be included in the film. Fact 13. 300 stunt drivers for Paris. Chase. The scale of coordination required for Ronin's climactic Paris tunnel chase sequence was absolutely unprecedented in action filmmaking, involving 300 stunt drivers and an additional 100 highly skilled racing drivers all working together in a precisely choreographed ballet of high-speed automotive chaos. This massive crew of drivers was necessary because the sequence involved not just the two primary chase vehicles, the BMW 535 being driven by Natasha McElhone's character and the Peugeot 406 pursuing it, but also dozens of civilian cars that had to realistically react to the chase, oncoming traffic that the BMW navigates against in the wrong-way tunnel sequence, and numerous other vehicles that get caught up in the mayhem. Each of these drivers had to know exactly where to be, how fast to drive, and how to react when the chase cars came screaming past them or directly toward them. The 100 crack race drivers were specifically used for the oncoming traffic scenes, where they maintained steady speeds of 35 miles per hour in their designated lanes, while the BMW and Peugeot weaved through them at speeds exceeding 70 miles per hour, creating the heart-stopping near misses that make the sequence so intense. According to reports, the drivers communicated with each other using their headlights, flashing signals to coordinate movements during the fast-moving chase scenes, creating a kind of high-speed Morse code. What made this coordination even more challenging was the extreme time pressure. The production had negotiated with Paris authorities to close certain streets and tunnels, but they only had approximately 5 hours to complete all the filming before the roads had to be reopened to public traffic. This meant there was no room for significant delays or mistakes. Fact 14. Frankenheimer rode along. During filming, director John Frankenheimer's commitment to authenticity and his desire to capture the most realistic footage possible led him to take personal risks that most directors would never consider, literally putting himself in the passenger seat during some of the film's most dangerous high-speed chase sequences. Rather than directing from a safe distance through monitors as most modern directors would do, Frankenheimer actually rode along in the cars during certain shots to experience the action firsthand and ensure the footage captured exactly what he wanted. This hands-on approach was particularly remarkable, considering that Frankenheimer was in his late 60s at the time of filming, an age when most people are enjoying retirement rather than risking their lives at triple-digit speeds through narrow European streets. His presence in the cars during filming wasn't just for show or to motivate the crew. He genuinely wanted to understand what the camera would capture from different angles and positions, and he believed the only way to truly know was to experience it himself. Frankenheimer had been a passionate automotive enthusiast his entire life, and had even been an amateur racing driver in his younger years, so he understood the dynamics of high-speed driving better than most directors would. His earlier film Grand Prix from 1966 had established him as one of the few directors who truly understood how to film cars in motion, and he brought that same dedication and personal investment to Ronin more than 3 decades later. The cast and crew reportedly found his willingness to take these risks inspiring, though some also found it somewhat terrifying to watch their director voluntarily putting himself in harm's way. Frankenheimer's wife Joyce even had to go out with stunt coordinator Jean-Claude Lagnez for a demonstration run to prove to her husband that the stunts were safe enough. Fact 15. The S8 ranked 9th coolest movie car. In a 2008 readers' poll conducted by KDR magazine to identify the top 40 coolest movie cars of all time, Ronin's Audi S8 achieved a remarkable ninth-place ranking, beating out numerous more exotic, expensive, and traditionally cinematic vehicles. This ranking placed the understated German sedan ahead of countless Ferraris, Lamborghinis, Aston Martins, and other supercar icons that have appeared in films over the decades. What makes this achievement particularly impressive is that the S8 doesn't have the obvious visual drama of something like the Batmobile, the gadgetry of a James Bond car, or the raw sex appeal of a bright red Ferrari. It's a four-door luxury sedan painted in dark colors that most people would walk past in a parking lot without a second glance. Yet its performance in Ronin clearly resonated deeply with automotive enthusiasts who recognized that coolness isn't just about flashy looks, but about competence, capability, and the way a vehicle is used on screen. The poll results showed that 3 other cars from Ronin also made the list. The Citroën XM and Peugeot 605 tied for 24th place, while the BMW 535i came in at 29th. The fact that Ronin placed 4 different vehicles in the top 40 coolest movie cars demonstrates just how impactful and memorable the film's automotive sequences were. For context, the S8's 9th place ranking put it ahead of legendary movie cars like the DeLorean from Back to the Future, various Fast and Furious vehicles, and numerous other automotive icons that had much higher profiles in popular culture. This recognition cemented the S8's status not just as a successful product placement, but as a genuinely iconic movie vehicle that helped define automotive cinema in the late 1990s.